At least the ones that I've come in contact with. It's very hard to get in contact with them because they're like no signal, right? They're off grid.
Do they like visitors or not so much?
They're friendly to visitors, yeah.
They like visitors, probably because maybe think they're like to sell their crafts and get a little bit extra money, kind of stuff like that. Because I heard of Pueblo, there is an indigenous community in the United States called the Pueblos.
Oh,
but is that just referring to their style of housing? Is it Pueblo?
Pueblos? Well, I know in the United States, California used to be Mexico.
Yeah.
Right? So that's probably why it's called Pueblos still.
It just means that's just a style of their house, though, right?
For Pueblos translated is just village, right?
Village. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to find out what they actually call themselves in their indigenous language. Because also there's like the neighbors, the Zuni.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm really fascinated with that culture.
All right.
Because they they maintain their ceremonies. Did you ever see their ceremonies on YouTube and stuff like that?
No, I've never seen them. My mom comes from the Quechua community.
Quechua?
Quechua.
One more time.
Quechua.
Quechua.
Yeah, Quechua.
Quechua.
So, and they speak Quechua.
Quechua.
Easy.
Could you explain a little bit about the culture of the Quechua?
So they originated in Peru, and when the colonizers came, the royal families had the resources to run away, and they trickled down to Bolivia and eventually arriving to what is Argentina, Jujuy, where my mom's
province.
Little
migration thing going on. It's similar to the Syilx, or we call Syilx in English. There are Salish-speaking people all the way in Montana, into the United States.
Yeah.
And they come all the way up here into Washington, Idaho, Canada, and they go all the way to the coast. I can't remember if it's Bella Bella or Bella Coola. One of those villages, their root language is Salish because they use similar words like creators or cool and shoot. They may say a little bit different, but you can kind of recognize that. It's language,
Yeah, that's interesting because a teacher told me if you learn in Sqilxw, you can go to the coast and you can understand them.
Yeah,
I thought
depends
that was
on
so
where you
cool.
go, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But there's truth in that, you know?
So you moved up here when you were 22?
23.
And then as soon as you got here, did you want to reconnect with your Syilx roots, or did it take time before you wanted to get involved with that?
The first thing when I came off my airplane, I was like, I need to get in touch with my community. I've been gone from home for a long time. I need to know what's up, like what's going on. I realize like I don't even know my culture. I don't know my language. I don't know what we're doing, or I lost contact with the people, right?
So you had that real curiosity and interest right off the get-go, right when you got here. And so your family, the Derickson family, they're from West Bank. I know, I recognize that name. I think there was a chief, that he was a Derickson, and then the artist I've heard as Noel Derickson. And I've only been in Canada for maybe 20 plus years. I didn't grow up here. And I'm not familiar with every community. So I'm learning, like West Bank. And I did like 17 years in Penticton. And I get to know. So the Derickson name, your relatives, maybe could you talk a little bit about the family, what they're known for? Like, or were they ranchers, or what kind of people they're?
So the Dericksons, they've been strongly involved in politics. They've been huge landowners. My grandparents, they were ranchers. And then my dad, he carried that on by being an excellent horseman and doing rodeo. Yeah.
Did you learn any horse? Are you a horse
Actually, that's
folks?
curious because he's one of the best out there. And no, I don't.
Not yet. My grandparents had ranches. Like my great grandpa had the biggest ranch in the Sqilxw, but it sort of fell off back in the day. I don't ride horses. I'd like to.
Yeah,
I've had traumatic stories about riding horses.
Definitely. Everyone has that traumatic story with the horse, but it's like, are you going to get back on the horse?
I always do.
You always do.
Even if you
fall and you get back on.
Every time.
Yeah.
I have this crazy experiences and I get hurt. I shake it off. I get back on. I mean, that's just how my character, though.
100%. There's so much to learn from horses and the horse history here in the Okanagan, the wild ones.
Yep.
Yep.
You're talking about the people or the horses?
The horses. Oh, the wild horses running around. Not the wild Indians.
No. So the question that we commonly ask folks is, what does it mean for you to be Syilx or Sqilxw or Sqilxw? And so since you've been learning, do any of those terms resonate with you? And what does it mean to you when someone if I ask you that?
Oh,
it could always be changed different too. Like tomorrow I could ask you, might be different, but
and it could change over time, right?
Exactly.
While you're maturing, you're growing, you're learning more, it changes definitely.
100%.
So when I got here, it was like I need to learn. So I was reading the history about how West Bank First Nation became, and apart from history, then I started digging into like ceremony or participating powwow and being on the SIA committee. Like I wanted to be firsthand. So now,
just jumped right in there.
100%. Yep. And just dived right into the culture, the ceremony. I'm told my mom I want to be with the elders. And, it was kind of heartbreaking to see we've lost so many, right? And you lose like a book of knowledge. And it's not just a thin one. It's a large, very thick book of knowledge when you lose just one elder.
Absolutely. It's true.
So right now, for me to be a Syilx woman, it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge responsibility. A lot of organizing your time to go to powwows, to participate in ceremony. Tomorrow, they're going harvesting. West Bank First Nation's going to go get some.
What they going to harvest?
Labrador tea.
Tea, Dan. So the folks who don't know, in Okanagan, we call that Sqilxw. And everyone says, it's such a hard language to speak. It's not even just Sqilxw. Oh, see? She said it perfectly first try. What's your excuse? No, I'm just kidding. You start ragging on everybody.
Yeah. You just need the wooden spoon like my grandma.
It's actually a hard word. I'm just being, what do you call that? Being cheeky, because it's wedge experts. They'll be like, and then the walking man's in there. And the running joke is, is the brittle bush brittle? Because that's what we call it in language, the brittle bush. That's what the root sound for is, the brittle bush. Yeah. I don't know.
All those sounds you're making are ancestral sounds.
Right? You know when people go and they do their anthropology and they find arrowhead and everyone's like, whoa. And I'm like, that's cool, dude. But this word, it's as old as that arrowhead. Yeah. So what's cooler? No, I'm just kidding.
It's alive.
They're both cool.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So
that's just some of my thinking sometimes, because
I bet
when they do the anthropology, they're looking at our material culture when our living culture is still here. A part of it's still here, the living culture. And, people maybe don't think about it like that, the arrowhead maybe is more valuable than your grandma who's sitting there, fluent speaker, and just a wealth of knowledge, right? So to me, it's like, go sit with your stemtima. I'm not telling you, I'm like, just in general, like scolding you.
Yeah. No, that's interesting you mentioned arrowhead, because just to get the knowledge and the practice of creating an arrowhead, that can take 3 years.
I love when you take if you're going to make an arrowhead, and you speak your language, it's like, holy.
Yeah.
It's like
so powerful.
Voltron joining forces.
100%. And the plants, they know just when you're harvesting the pine needles for basket making.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how you say pine needle basket. I know the yamahua is cedar, peanut is the birch bark, but what it is, the little guys, some little pine ones, those are cute.
Maybe our viewers could tell us, in the comments below.
We're really doing a lot of language in this, what would you call podcast? Yeah. I feel like we got sidetracked. You were talking about something there. What were we talking about before I derailed this?
What it means to be Syilx.
I'm gonna be quiet and listen to you now.
Oh, okay. Okay. So being Syilx and then having to have the life balance of work, and then maybe you're a mom at home. Maybe you're a mom of like some pets. That's my case.
You got a dog?
Yep, we've got chickens and cat. Yeah, we're looking for a wildie, so a horse.
You got a little farm going on.
We got a farm going on. Yeah, we want to bring back, the meat. So bunnies and quail. Yeah.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Pretty soon you'll have your own herd of cows.
Yeah, that's the dream, right? And then it would be nice to give back, because all the time when you're advancing, you give back to community. I'd like to bring like free range chicken meat to the community. That's like so healthy for you.
Ooh, yeah. Get a good dumpling recipe going. Take it to the next level.
Yeah, that's next level.
That's awesome. That's really, a young person like yourself with such a good mindset is very, very awesome and beautiful to see. Role model, Kiwa. And I hear what you're talking about, that balance. It's the living in two worlds, and we've talked about that when we were talking about Syilx. It's like you got to try to make money, and when you're living your Sqilxw life, it's not about money so much. It's more about community, your relationship to the land, development of yourself, and what you can share and what you can do for your people. I find.
And it's also knowing your limits, because maybe a long, long time ago, our people, they could harvest so many berries, and then now you go there and it's very difficult, just to find the huckleberry.
Yeah, sometimes login wipes it out, or it's just a bad year because it's too hot. I know sometimes it just dries right out. This year was a bad year for salmon. I know, and down OK Falls, I didn't even catch one this year.
Whoa. Yeah. And to think, like, we used to feed our families like that a long time ago, and it's been difficult. I'm a hunter and learning, and to get the news that we're not supposed to hunt moose this year, it's like, it's heartbreaking, that
because their numbers are low.
Their numbers are low. Yeah. Here in the Okanagan.
Yeah. Well, I asked my dad. He never shot a moose growing up. It was all deer hunting.
Yeah.
So it's interesting now that we're moose hunters in the Okanagan, because I think it's kind of a new
elk hunters,
new phenomenon, at least in the Sqilxw Valley. Maybe in West Bank they've always been hunting moose. I'm not sure.
Deer, elk, moose, but elk doesn't come by anymore. So just a very low population. When I talk to our brothers and sisters on the other side of this imaginary border, they're fine. They're showing me pictures of all these herds passing by them. It's elk herds they have like in abundance. And I'm just like, you guys are only a few hours away from us. I'm like, here in West Bank, it's pretty difficult. Like, we've been skunked a few times.
Yeah, it happens. There's this philosophy, and I don't know if you've heard it, but if we don't harvest our traditional foods, sometimes then they go away.
It disappears.
They disappear. Because of the responsibility and the agreement we had with them, that they're going to be there for us, and if we quit utilizing them, they go away. Have you ever heard that one?
Yeah, I've heard that one. And learning is forever. You're a forever learner. Yeah. I don't feel like you ever can become a master. I thought I knew how to harvest cedar. And now my cousin on the weekend, she's like, there's a perfect way of harvesting cedar that makes it grow in abundance for the next year. And I'm going to learn that.
Could you teach me when you find out?
100%.
Awesome.
Yeah. I would love to.
Because I don't usually go out and just start harvesting things unless I know how to, for fear of hurting the plant, right? My buddy, he's really good at birch bark. Ooh, so I want to go visit him, and maybe he'll show me, he'll pity me, and he'll teach me. You know, one thing I was thinking about today was indigenous folks, like we were talking about Bigfoot here and then Chupacabra. In our reservations, when we're talking about food, I think it's time to start turning the tides of eating more traditional foods and not so much of the processed foods with like, I always joke around because I'm kind of like, I really like Pepsi. They like Coke down there in Mexico,
love this conversation, right? Because I had fast food right before this.
I had fast food yesterday. I'm as guilty as everyone.
I'm guilty.
I know in my heart I shouldn't, and I want to eat a nice
healthy
thing of scotchinum and maybe something from the garden, maybe some beets or some potatoes, some vegetables.
Homegrown.
Because when it gets in your body, it nourishes and it replenishes. And I think as indigenous people, we're maybe guilty for promoting bad eating. We always joke around KFC.
Yeah,
I'm guilty. I love KFC, but I don't know. It's not the best for you. I don't think, you know. So, what do you think about maybe food sovereignty, or does that enter in your mind to be of your identity as an indigenous person?
So, what I really admired the most is my eldest sister. She cooks traditional dishes, and it's so like strange because in today's date, you don't see berries on a dinner plate. She'll put berries in your salad.
Put berries in everything.
Yeah. And it's in
your itchy band, you'll throw some berries in your itchy band?
It's
no, I'm just kidding.
Different taste for sure, but you know, eventually you grow into it. And then when you do taste something like fast food, you can taste all the chemicals in it. Right. Yeah.
I think also the labor of love. Like when you go out and hand pick these berries and you get a couple baskets or whatever and freeze them, then you pull them out and use them. It's like, I harvested this. This is not thing that I just went and got from the store, come from wherever. When I have my huckleberries I've been using them in
frozen huckleberries.
Yeah. I've been putting them in my parfait, and then it's like this thick with the hucks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then, it's so good. And, it tastes to me way better than, say, just some frozen berries out of a bag. And because I picked them. My kids were out there picking them.
And you feel healthy. You feel powerful. You get sick less during the year.
Feel those muscles. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Where's my muscles?
Huckleberries.
Huckleberry muscle.
What they call huckleberry eyes and fry bread thighs. That's what I don't know. Someone told me that. You heard that one?
No, I haven't. But there's a interesting conversation now that people are saying obesity is due to colonization. So the obesity we see in our indigenous communities, that's being colonized, right?
You think about it, they want us to eat poor because we're killing ourselves. It's a slow suicide with bad food. And they don't want us to go hunt and to pick our berries because then you're accessing our land, right? So if they want to restrict the lands that we go on to keep us from hunting and gathering and keep us in town on the Big Macs, that's what they I think you're probably onto something here. Now, I don't have to go on to conspiracy theories much.
I don't know. You went
rabbit holes.
You went that way.
I think you're onto something here.
But there's an interesting reservation just far from us, and they actually have an open door kind of like shed that they turned into an indigenous pharmacy. So medicine people, they would leave and they would take what they need and they would leave something for the next family, which is actually really nice. It's because we don't believe in selling our medicines, so it's open to the indigenous community. I thought that was so smart. I'm like, that is very smart.
That's what we should do. We should do that here.
Yes, 100%. Me and my cousin, we are huge on stay away from the pharmaceuticals and let's get back to our natural medicines. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. One of the things indigenous people also fear is our plants being like, is that manipulated or taken advantage of to be, because a lot of the things that are in the pharmacy right now are from indigenous plants, like willows or the aspirin, and this plant that is one of our indigenous traditional medicines starts ending up in all these pharmacies and companies. So I know it's like sometimes we don't want to share the medicines that we know, but then it's like with our own people, I think we should keep sharing,
Yeah.
But then it's like if a non-native person comes and wants to know, and you know them and they're legit and they're cool, I would share with them. But I wouldn't share with someone who's like what do you call that? Like looking to take advantage of, or something. I don't know where this conversation is going. I think I just took it down the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because we don't want it to see like Sqilxw in I don't want to go to pharmacy to see Sqilxw on the shelf or something like that.
No.
I want to just go get it with my family forever. And I don't want there to be fences where they have a Sqilxw farm and you can't go get it.
You don't want that.
So that's the fear. That's it's valid, but we as indigenous people sometimes don't even harvest it like we should, and so that becomes, like we were talking about, is wasted that way.
Then, like, if you were to open an indigenous pharmacy, well, let's say it's just a little wooden cabin with jars and potions and lotions, you could say, okay, we're going to have these specific knowledge keepers harvest them, our healers, and maybe just have it open to the ones that can't harvest anymore, our elders, right?
Yeah, who can't go out and get it themselves. Be an interesting place to learn. I'd go in there and just be like, what's that? And then it would like spark an interest as to
or creating like safety kits, like first aid kits for indigenous daycares, right? With all our creams, like from, like you said, the willow, right?
Yeah, this year I gathered. Did you gather something out of the? Add something to your toolbox this year?
I want to say
not just white people. Anybody, don't take advantage of this. This is for natural uses only. No, I'm just kidding. Jesse doesn't like I say. He's like, okay, so we can always edit that out.
It's like, oh my God.
I'm like sweating over here.
Yeah, it seems like you're in the hot box.
We were just talking about this before you showed up too, about racism and stuff like that. I'm open to teaching people stuff, but I just don't want it seen taken advantage of. Is that a valid fear or not?
No, that's 100% valid.
Yeah.
Who you're gonna teach, right?
What were you saying? I cut you off by being crazy.
I don't know. We were talking about medicine.
Yeah. Oh, what did you add to your toolbox this year? Did you go and gather something you never did before?
This year.
While you're thinking, I'll tell you what I did.
Okay, yes, please.
Cottonwood buds.
Never gathered that. I want to.
If you get like a scrape or maybe your foot's like getting kind of infected, you get the buds, right? Put them in olive oil and just like for a couple months, leave them in there, shake them up a bit. Then you can get a boo-boo, rub that on there. Holy cow, it fixed me up. What did I step on?
On a bee.
A Sqilxw. Not a Sqilxw.
No.
A Sqilxw.
Okay.
I didn't step on dust. I stepped on a bee. No, I'm kidding. Hurt my foot. It was getting infected. Took forever to heal. And then I rubbed that stuff on there. Ooh. Like magic.
Yeah. 100%. I see
Mulch.
that.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I think what I would want to learn would probably be, there's this dandelion, but it's a wild one. And it looks just like the dandelion, but it grows taller, much taller, because the dandelion kind of stays low to the ground.
Yeah. So it's a big dandelion. I think I've seen those before.
You think so?
Those big bush.
It's not what. Are you thinking the wild sunflower?
No. It's just like a dandelion, but it's like maybe a little bigger. It's tall?
It's the same size, but it's tall.
Milkweed.
No. Probably. Probably.
I don't
know. Maybe. Yeah.
Because it has those. No. It has those poofies.
It's got poofies, because it's from the dandelion. Yeah. But anyways, I would love to learn. I just love to learn all of it, to be honest. And it's funny because now I go for a hike, and when I used to look, like where I'm going to the top of the mountain. Now I'm looking what's beside me, and I see all this medicine, and then I see these plants I don't know the name of, and I'm like, I need to learn you, because who knows, like, must be a native plant, and if not, it's an invasive, right?
Where we're talking about new diseases. Everybody's getting sick with this, that, and the other. And we have invasive plants. What if some of these invasive plants were actually medicinal for the new kinds of sicknesses? And they're like showing themselves to us.
It could be because Mother Nature has its way of balancing itself out, right? Like when there's a fire, you get fireweed, right? So sometimes I don't like to think about restoration, but conservation. Like you can conserve what's already there. Mother Nature, will figure itself out. But restoration, it's like you're mimicking, and you think what's best, and you do what's best for this plant, what's best for this animal, but maybe you're doing more harm. And that's actually something I recently learned at a on the land learning course.
Yeah, I believe that. This lady was doing a presentation about bats, and she was going all these different caves all across the world and studying bats. And then she came over to our country, over in our
as
area.
Batman, Batwoman,
bat person, and
with superpowers.
Went down there and studied them. Then at the end of the thing, she said, "Oh, they're all sick." And then I was like, "Well, how come?" Well, he said, "Well, these bats over here in Africa had this weird nose disease, and then
are we talking about COVID?
Could be bat COVID." They brought it over here, and they went to go and look at our bats. They didn't disinfect their gear, so they're going around like with good intentions, checking on the bats, but they're spreading all the diseases all over the place.
I see. Yeah, I can see that happen. Yeah,
that's a bummer. I got mad. I was like, why don't you just leave them bats alone? They know what they're doing. Yeah, they'll be okay.
Just like on, for example, the Derickson trap line. So because on the other side of the border, they're low on lynx. They actually took one of our lynx that was hanging around in our trap line, and they took it to the other side. And like, who knows, 10 years down the line, they might be overpopulated. Then they have to bring it back. And then it's just a back and forth thing happening.
The Wepopukan, the lynx.
The lynx, yeah.
I've only seen one in the wild. They're pretty cool, huh?
I heard one, and we knew right away it was not a bird because that sound came from the ground.
So this trap line, you guys actively to this day are trapping and stuff like that? Not too many people around here still do that.
My cousins learned, and my uncle, he's a huge on trapping. The Dericksons, that's what they lived off of a long time ago. The whole entire family, they would go out there, back in the past, they would get lots of beaver pelts, and, they would sell it to Hudson Bay. Like, they lived off of the pelts. But in today's date, my male cousins, they learned, and I'm going to learn. I'll catch up to them.
There you go. there, my dad used to. What? 1 minute. My dad used to trap. I never did trap. Just a mouse a couple times.
Mouse trap.
Yeah.
I trapped a mouse on that mouse board game. Mouse trap board game. Have you played it?
No, I don't
No,
know
it's
that
called
one.
Mousetrap.
That's from Argentina?
No, it's
No, I was kidding.
yeah, no, it's not from Argentina. Yeah. But I don't think it shouldn't be that hard to trap.
No.
You just gotta follow those prints, you know?
Tracks.
Know where they're going.
This was really nice talking with
Maria.
Sqilxw
Sqilxw.
S1. Yeah, Maria, but I was going to say And
thanks for having me on here.
I feel like I could learn more, and we can keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, we're talking and we get a little crazy in our talk, but that's just natural sometimes. I mean, that's me. I'm a crazy
that's
guy.
you. Yeah, that's you.
And I just want to say lim for coming out.
For having me. It was a pleasure.
And we're gonna wrap it up there with Sqilxw podcast. All right, keep it deadly, keep it resi. What? That's how we leave. Keep it deadly, keep it resi.